all these ailments that I know marijuana would bring relief to, then I consider the people who are keeping it out of their hands as being those assholes who created those big piles of bodies. And I'm not going to stand around and watch people suffer and die when I know that there's relief that God's given us coming up out of seed out of his earth that can bring them relief. I'm not going to sit around and let these assholes keep this medicine from reaching those people. I'm going to criticize them. I'm going to kick their butts every chance I get. I'm going to call them the pharma Nazis and fascists that they are. And, I'm going to be the truth teller about it. And I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid of them at all. And I've got some special tools and some certain talents that I bring to the fore. And, I'm all out on these Nazi son of a bitches.
Okay, well, that's like lightning, those the connections that you're making there. And I'm just curious if you would just tell us this equation, the meaning of it.
Well,
wait. The equation is hemp equals oil.
Yes. But first of all, let me say that, lots of people throw around the word Nazi nowadays, the Nazi this and Nazi that. I don't want to be one of those people, but I have some certain credentials that I'm bringing to the table that a lot of the people who use the Nazi word, the N word, don't have. One of them is, it can be seen, evidence of that is on my website. In 1986-88, I commissioned a study of fascism, commissioned a study of Nazism and how it related to modern day America, and found out all the Nazi companies, all the Third Reich companies that survived World War II and became embedded in American industry. A study of that and a 56-page treatise of that is available on my website. It's called Shadow of the Swastika.
Really?
So I've been keeping track of fascism and the neo-Nazism for a long time, and so I do speak with certain credentials, and you can find that on my website at gatewood.com. So when I call these people pharma Nazis, I'm telling you the truth. I've tracked them and I know who the hell they are. And it's not hard to figure out who they are. But their willingness to gouge the people and to keep on their prices and their synthetic medicines and the criminalization of the people from trying to grow their natural medicines is one of the main purposes, the reason I'm out here, to educate the people. And you wanted me to speak on something else?
Well, an example of that would be like the people that are the big shots in the war on drugs are the same people that are the owners.
I don't know if you want me to talk about Hempsters Petroleum and why such a huge conspiracy be afoot here in America.
Yeah,
what I was saying.
Let's get on. About the conspiracy.
Okay, let's do this. First of all, for 10,000 years, people have taken the basic commodities of civilization from the natural cycle. But for hundreds of thousands of years, we were hunter-gatherers. We gathered nuts and berries and tubers. We moved from cave to cave and from land to land. Then we discovered domestication of plants, that you could plant plants and they'd grow there year after year. If you took care of them, you could have a village there which turned into towns, which turned into cities, because agriculture became stabilized, and so everything was produced from the land for people's necessities, the four necessities of life. Fiber, which is to clothe yourself and to clothe your children and to live under tents and to make masts for ships and those kinds of things. Fuel. Seeds, seed oil, growing biomass, dead wood, all those things that you had fire with, and fuel and light that came from the land. Fiber fuel, medicine. You had medicinal plants or medicinal herbs or medicinal waters that people use as a natural medicine. And food, that's where you grew it up out of the land. So the land was producing all these things that came from the natural cycle. Okay. Around the 1800s, and especially towards the 1900s, chemists and alchemists and people who made gunpowder and people who were involved in chemicals discovered petroleum and discovered the kinds of things that you could make with petroleum. And so they also discovered other kinds of alloys and things from a chemical standpoint, and which produce products which were in competition from the products that were being produced from the natural cycle, even in the areas of fiber and fuel and medicine and food. And so it began at an increasing pace. And finally, in 1937, in a shareholders report, E.I. DuPont Nemours Corporation, their president said, look, we've just discovered a synthetic process, or a process of dealing with petroleum that yields synthetic products, and a new product this year is nylon. And, we decided that our best way to realize a profit on these investments is to utilize the revenue-raising arm of government to force acceptance of sudden social and industrial reorganization, which means that he used the power of taxation of the government to force acceptance of sudden social and industrial reorganization, which was that they started criminalizing the farmer from producing products from the land which were in competition with all these lines of synthetic products that they were going to create out of these processes that they had. And, it wasn't a consumer demand or consumer preference. They simply used the power of taxation. So the first law that they passed under that was the 1937 Marijuana Tax Act.
Right.
And up until then, marijuana was the #1 medicine on earth. The basis of more than 50% of the medicines on earth was cannabis.
Right.
And it had been for thousands of years, but they said, hey, this plant is really vilified. You cannot plant this plant anymore. It's criminalized for you to plant this plant. It's not a medicine, it's the devil. And that's the way that we're going to engage in from here on out. And then for the first time, they took the power to tell you what seeds you could plant in the ground and which ones you couldn't. And nowadays, they can tell you any seed that you can plant in the ground and which ones you can't. And so our relationship as human beings, our relationship with the natural cycle was severed with that act. We were forever severed by edict of our own government from being able to plant a seed in God's green earth and consume the green natural plant that comes up out of it. So I thought that was, one of the reasons they did that, well, there's many reasons they did it. First of all, cannabis is cannabis. I mean, cannabis is also known as marijuana and as hemp. It's the same plant. It just depends on which direction you grow it in. When you want to grow it for an industrial textile use, that is, you want to use fiber or fuel or true biomass, you plant it very densely together, you call it hemp. When you want to utilize those same seeds to grow a plant for smoking it and want to get the maximum pleasures or medical relief from smoking it, you take that same seed and you plant it where it gets mostly sun and you clear out all the underbrush around it so that it doesn't have to compete with other plants. That way it'll produce a lot more bush and a lot more THC as it tries to shield itself from the sun's ultraviolet rays. But both cannabis and hemp, or marijuana and hemp, are both cannabis in the same way that Danny DeVito and Dennis Rodman are both adult males. Right. I mean, they don't look anything alike, but they're both adult males. And law enforcement, they can't tell the difference in them. You're just get out the hell out of law enforcement. But the fact is that let's say that I'll talk about marijuana as medicine here in just a second. But cannabis, hemp, when you grow the industrial textile crop, hemp is petroleum. I mean, all petroleum is liquefied vegetative matter that was grown eons ago and trapped and stored the sun's energy and then was set aside by Mother Nature and put through geological processes that either liquefied it or contracted it into coal or peat. Uh-huh. And so what we're burning in our fireplaces and our foundries in coal and what we're running around on in our cars right now is the sun's energy that was trapped in the photosynthetic process of millions of years ago. And hemp is its present day manifestation because hemp is the most invigorated, most efficient photosynthesizing biomass on the planet. Means it more readily traps and stores the sun's energy in either growing biomass, and that's why if you take a field and you plow it under and you plant hemp seed against any other growing thing, hemp will grow it up and choke it out. They used to reclaim fields from Canadian ironweed and thistle. They couldn't burn it out and they couldn't chop it out, so they just plowed it under and planted hemp seed against it, and hemp outgrew it and choked it out down to the roots, got rid of it.
But a big difference between hemp and petroleum is that as a source of oil is that petroleum is taking oil out of the earth and turn it into carbon dioxide and so forth. But with hemp, you're taking carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and producing oxygen and producing oil.
Well,
I mean, it's a no-brainer.
So it's a swing over. Hemp is petroleum. Everything that you to make that a because of this photosynthesizing